Thank you, everybody. With that, I'm delighted to introduce our speaker today, Craig Eberle with REAP, and I'm going to let him tell you what REAP stands for. REAP, though, helps a lot of people get businesses started. They've been around for a long time. They do a lot of work in rural areas, and they provide tons of great services. The roles today he brought from Henderson, Nebraska, from a place called Perks, which really fits well with our food guy.
Yeah.
So with that, Craig, thank you for being here today.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for coming to this session. I appreciate Steve inviting me and being a part of your group today. And yes, those roles are from a cafe. They are a REAP client that we've worked with, Janet Miller out there in Henderson, and she does cakes and has a cafe out there. And but she also puts together those big, huge, tasty cinnamon rolls. And so I knew they would be probably a pretty good hit this morning. So and she's got cards back there. So if anybody wants to make the road trip out to Henderson then we've used her for a lot of birthday parties over the years. So, but appreciate you having me here. My name is Craig Eberle, as Steve said. I am a loan specialist with the REAP organization, and REAP stands for Rural Enterprise Assistance Project. And so we are a program of the Center for Rural Affairs that basically provides, we are a statewide organization with kind of a rural mission to be able to provide loan capital training and one-on-one counseling, as well as networking opportunities for new and existing businesses statewide. A little background as far as who I am and what brought me to REAP, because I know a lot of these, everybody's got a story. Mine's not that exciting, but I am a small town guy. I was in a class of 14 kids in my high school that had a total population size of the high school around 35. When I was there, and so at Bradshaw High School, which is now consolidated, so I have a passion for working and keeping communities vibrant and active in the rural areas, and so my background is in lending and finance and working with business plans, financial projections, that sort of thing. I worked with a banking organization in Greater Nebraska for about 9 years, working with lines of credit up to $8 million, up to small consumer loans. And so I did the full gamut in a small rural bank. But a few years ago, wanted to transition into something that wasn't moving me around quite so much. And so I went to work for a place called the Southeast Nebraska Development District, which has an office here in Lincoln, and spent 10 years there. I was a loan specialist, and that's where I really started working with small businesses. Because there we had a couple pools of loan funds over a 15-county area, so I did loan packaging, helped them with business plans, helped them put together financial projections, cash flows, as well as help them gain access to capital, either through our funds or through bank funds. I would do all sorts of different projects with local loan funds, to partnering with banks, with other financial institutions. I did a lot of loan packaging when I was there at the Development District, but also what I did when I was there at the Development District, and that's, I won't get into the weeds of what a Development District is, but they kind of work for counties and communities. But when I was there, we had a contract with the Center for Rural Affairs REAP to do business plans. And so I worked in Southeast Nebraska, working with the loan specialist there at the time to do business plans, financial projections, help them get ready to apply for a loan at a bank or through REAP or through another program. Because there's a lot of steps that need to be involved with just getting your personal finances in order and then getting that plan down on paper and figuring out how the cash flow is going to work, not just for the business, but personally. And so during that time, I was the lead on that contract. And then over time, they saw the benefit of that and said, and they had a position come open for a full-time position. So here I am. And so I've been with REAP full-time as a full-time staff member for the last 2.5 years. But been with REAP on a contract basis and been familiar with them since 2008. And so there's a couple handouts on your tables. Basically, we try to provide a lot of different programs and services. We are a lender. We are a certified development financial institution, which nobody really cares about that. It's just where is my money and where as far as where it comes from. But we we are a CDFI, and so basically we have access to programs and resources and loan capital from various sources. We work a lot with SBA and USDA and other programs as well. And so we do have loans, we do small business loans. We also do a lot of trainings. We have a Facebook page, and that's on some of the materials, as well as we do a lot of, we do pride ourselves in having our services be free. And that, whether it be the counseling, whether it be, I mean, anything you get from me, I mean, you're not paying for me to help you put together a business plan, that type of thing. But we do a lot of we work one-on-one with businesses, and we have various territories. And so I am the Southeast rep, so I do cover 28 counties. I do office out of Bradshaw. So I did move back. That's another thing I like about this type of work, is it allows me to kind of live where I want to live. My parents, my dad's a retired farmer, and my mom has been involved with entrepreneurship for years. And she's retired, and so, raising a family, we decided that was where we wanted to live. And so I office out of my home out in the Bradshaw area. And so I cover 28 counties, so I go as far west as Grand Island and down into Red Cloud, but I get down into Nebraska City and Plattsmouth and Nebraska City that way, so kind of cover that. So we have different specialists throughout the state, and so that enables us to be able to have those face-to-face meetings, so it's not doing something just all over the phone or email, or you're dealing with an online service. I mean, we do meet with the clients. I put a little miles on the vehicle from time to time, but it allows us to get and meet with the clients. And so basically, and what I'll kind of hone in on and then wrap around as far as how this kind of focuses in on with our programs is we can do loans from 1,000 up to 150, but we do have one specific program that I wanted to kind of highlight for sure was, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Alice Dittman. We facilitate the Alice Integrity Loan Fund program, and so this is a great program. Alice Dittman was the former president and CEO of Cornhusker Bank, and so she has been a lifelong. She developed a fund to be able to provide capital to new and existing businesses, and this is more restricted to Lincoln and surrounding counties. There's about 12 counties that are eligible to apply for this program. So it's specialized. It's a unique program. It's not a large dollar amount. It's up to $5,000, but there's no collateral requirements. And the one nice thing about it is we provide that network of support. And so through the Alice program, we can offer one-on-one business counseling. And so if you need help getting your QuickBooks established, or bookkeeping assistance, or if you need help with writing that business plan, which these are very basic business plans, and I help businesses out with that all the time. But we will help you get ready for, to apply for these. They're small loans, but they can be used for about anything. They have to be a for-profit business, but they can be used to buy a new printer, to get a small business started, or if you needed just working capital funds to get things going, and this can be for existing businesses as well. We can do equipment, working capital, and the nice thing is and then if you successfully. Alice is big on it. There's a reason why integrity is in that fund, is because she has basically provided this capital to businesses at very minimal costs, very minimal fees, very good interest, and so. But it's the integrity of. A lot of it's based on character. So it's me looking you in the eye and say, I think you got a decent business here. You got a decent idea. We believe in you. We're going to do our due diligence and make sure personally you can cash flow it and that you got the business, but we'll help you with that, put that all together. And so this program, I'm the primary contact for this. And so, but what's nice about it is, if you get in here and with these programs, we have contractors locally and in the region that we can get you in touch with to provide that one-on-one help. So if you're trying to get your bookkeeping set up, we have an individual I can get you in touch with, and they can, for for free, they can at least get you educated and informed and help you get some things set up. Up to 8 hours we can provide for that free counseling for businesses through this program. And so, and all it takes is a training registration form, and we can get you access to, we have contractors that do web page development assistance, that do social media help, and we also, and as well as doing a lot of like how to hire, and we do a lot of trainings as well. Ours are more in the rural areas because that's where our mission is, and so we do get into, I have a business plan basics course starting up in Auburn here coming up next week, and so we do some around the area, this is a really good program, and Alice is a special person, and so she's entrusted us to work with this program to be able to help small businesses get started or expand. And the one nice thing about this is, like I said, there's no collateral requirements, and if you do successfully go through the program, the initial one's $5,000, but we can advance that to up to $10,000 if you pay that first one successfully. And 40% of it's based on character. And we do take, we'll work with clients that maybe, these are supposed to help those that maybe can't get that bank loan or can't, or don't have the equity, or they don't have a vehicle to pledge or something like that. But it's also, we're not totally looking at credit score and things like that. It's part of the equation, but if your credit isn't as good, or if you've had some issues financially, we still call me. We'll still work through it and see if we can get you through the program. But as far as everything else that we do, I talked about we have a lot of contractors that we work with. We do a lot of trainings. I do a lot of business plans, and I do not take the place of like the Nebraska Business Development Center and their business plan process because that is very needed, especially if you're going for the SBA route and trying to get funding that way. But I do a lot of business plans for people. It's very basic. We start with the worksheet that's called Financials Made Easy. If it's said that for a reason. It's very basic. It tries to itemize things very, because we work with a lot of businesses that people that they don't know where to turn, how to start, what's it going to take, what do the costs look like, how much do I need to make. We can kind of help them flesh out those details in a very simplified process to determine their break-evens. And we work with businesses of all sizes. We don't do a lot with maybe the mega corporations and things like that, but most of our average businesses are 1 or 2 employees. It's just them working out of their home or in a setting like this, and they just need some assistance in kind of pulling together some business plan numbers, and I have a lot of experience in doing that. But we're also connected with a lot of state and federal resources. I've worked in that field for a long time, and so if there's other programs or services that you're looking at, and we partner with other agencies. I'm very familiar with the Focus Suites and the Entrepreneurship Center here. We've been around since 1990. And so we've been there, done that as far as seeing what types of programs and services are out there and how we can get you connected with other resources. But and then I am going to try to start putting together some roundtables with the Alice Integrity Loan Fund program. We have various borrowers. It's a little spread out, but we have a lot here in Lincoln. We do have an office here at the Community Foundation building because that's where the program is housed, and so we do have a office there, but I can meet anybody anywhere. And even though I live about 60 miles west of here, I come to Lincoln every week, and so I'd be glad to set up a meeting to discuss your business needs and all the resources that we have to offer. But I don't know if I have a whole lot else to talk about.
Do people have questions about REAP or anything else?
Yes.
So I have some great candidates for the Alice program. Doesn't this need to be women? I'm sure it's
nope.
So how does that look? So it's a loan, a $5,000 loan, and I think you mentioned if that's successful, then you can apply and pay that off and then apply for something else. So how does the financing side of that work, right?
There is an application. The application goes through us. And so usually, we'll base it off of, the financing will basically go through, we have an online application and then you're pre-qualified for a certain amount, and usually it's 1 to 3 year terms. And so, and we do a risk rating type of interest rates, but they're very reasonable. It's not, and it's based on prime and all that, but it's very reasonable interest rates. And so we can go out to 3 years, so the payments can be very manageable for that business. And we just need a basic business plan, which I can help prepare, and it's nothing fancy, very basic. And then we just need some, usually for that type of program, we're just getting a little bit of personal financial information. If it's a startup business, obviously that business plan we're looking at. If it's an existing business, get some very basic business financial information. And then what we do is kind of I call it a global cash flow, because we want to make sure, we don't want to loan to people if they can't afford it. And so we want to make sure this is in best interest for them too. And so we do a kind of global cash flow with the business and the personal, and kind of figure out how this is going to fit, and then go from there. But it's a relatively simple process, and in this region, you'll be working primarily with me to pull together that information. Does that answer your question?
For the most part, yeah. So if you said, okay, I have this small business, and I'm looking at wanting to do X, so I need this. Like, does it target what that $5,000 goes toward?
It depends. I mean, it's pretty broad. I mean, we can do working capital, we can do equipment, we can do inventory, we can do other types of startup costs. And so what we do is a source and use. And so it's basically, we just try to itemize, okay, I need 5,000. 2,000 is going to go towards a new printer, 1,000 is going to go towards marketing, and 2,000 is going to go towards startup capital operating needs. That's basically how we do it. So we just kind of break down those needs, and then that kind of helps us determine what that cash flow is going to look like. And but for-profit businesses are eligible to apply, and you can be a sole proprietorship as well. I mean, and so, but the uses are pretty broad as far as what the funds can be used for. And so we just kind of go through and itemize and say, what do you need the money for, and try to figure out, get a breakdown of that and put that into the plan. You bet. Sorry. Go ahead.
Do you have a rural grant program that you work with?
I do, as far as I'm aware of some grants for small businesses are hard to come by. I'm aware of some, and I always tell businesses, if you do come across one, let me know, because it's probably too good to be true type of thing. But as far as some grants that I'm aware, I mean, one of the grants I like to promote is just the one-on-one counseling we provide, because that's free. And so, I mean, that's a cost that you don't have to pay somebody to do those types of things for you. But there are some grants out there. For most of them are going to be more environmentally friendly type programs. I know USDA has their own REAP program, the Rural Energy for America program, which is for energy efficiency, renewable energy type improvements. And there are other various programs out there. The ones I'm more familiar with are like USDA. They also have value-added producer grant program and things like that. And so if you are looking for grants, I can kind of lead you to some, but there's not a lot for-profit businesses. They're more on the nonprofit side. But if you come across one too, don't ever hesitate. If you got my email, send it to me, and don't ever hire a grant writer to like some off company to write a grant for you for a business, because they're probably going to take advantage of you. And so just be careful with the grants. But there are some things out there, and I do know, and I don't know as much in Lincoln, but I do know in some communities I work with, there are local programs too. So sometimes it's knowing what's available locally, because if they have a local option sales tax program or a foundation fund or something like that, sometimes there's local options that are available too, to be able to pull into a project. Steve?
What, in your experience, I know you've worked with small businesses a long time, what are one or two common mistakes you see made by small business owners when they're getting started?
A couple that I would probably point towards is, one, not knowing the full cost to get into or to complete the project. A lot of people go in thinking it's, and you want to take a minimalistic approach if you can, but you want to make sure you evaluate all those costs, because there's so many times where businesses get in there and all of a sudden like, oh no, I don't have enough money. I ran out of money, and now I can't get going to do my marketing and be able to pay the next 3 months rent, or be able to just support the family during that transition phase. So not having the adequate capital needs identified and secured before they get going in it is a big thing. The other thing I've noticed too is a lot of businesses. I mean, we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs in this room, and they've got the idea, they've got the vision and the drive, but sometimes they're like, oh, I got to keep track of my numbers and do the books. And if you get behind on that stuff or don't know where you're at, it's hard to make decisions. Plus, you can just get into trouble with maybe not expensing things properly, things like that. So maintaining adequate bookkeeping records and things like that. That's why we've got multiple contractors and we teach online and desktop versions of QuickBooks, because it's a big need. Because a lot of our businesses, that's not either what they want to do or they don't have as much of the skill set. And so we want to educate them and guide them to be able to keep on top of it. And we even have a brochure that actually identifies like this is what you should do every day. This is what you should do every week. This is what you should do every month. Just to kind of have an organization structure in your head to say, okay, every day I at least need to balance the register before the end of the day type of thing. And so that way you don't get behind and you're trying to do it every year during tax time. So I guess that's probably the two things I've noticed mainly. But there's a lot of things, but those are the two things that come up a lot. Make sure you identify your project costs and know the capital going in and keep your books up to date.
Any other questions? If not, well, thank you, Craig. We appreciate
Thank you.
your time. Thank you for being here.
You bet.
And I will personally vouch for the Alice Fund. If you're a small business and your capital needs are very modest, it's a great opportunity, a great tool to use. Be sure to give Craig a call and ask about the Alice Fund. And Craig, you are lucky because you are the very first recipient of our brand new Focus Suite and Perk Up Thursday mugs. So
Cool.
Brooke and Kat came up with this design and we're real happy with it. And so you get the
Very
first
good.
one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much. Appreciate it.
All right, please be here next week. We got another great speaker lined up. If you haven't had one of those rolls yet, you are doing yourself a disservice. I don't care what resolution you made for the new year. Go back and have one of those cinnamon rolls. They're terrific.